Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Sorry, I'm running a few minutes behind. I'm behind the scenes on StreamYard, seeing all the different bells and whistles. And for some people that are on here every day, doing live video, they may be more well versed, but for me, I am just trying to figure out what's going on. It's like every time you get into a rhythm of something, things change. And so today I wanted to get on to wish everybody a happy end of March. We are closing out the first quarter, and I love these times of the year, the month, or however you want to say it, because it's a good time to reflect, to kind of pause, get a good foundation before you start running into the next quarter or the next month or the next part of the year, what have you. So things are pretty busy on my end. I have today was the last day of school for my kids. So they are out of school for spring break. So I know we might be kind of late with our spring break, but excited nonetheless. That's not getting up in the morning, no school lunches, no transporting them back and forth. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But today I want to talk about planning because we finished out quarter one. We're approaching quarter two. And so this is a good time to think about, what is this next quarter going to look like for you? So oftentimes when we think about futuristic, we always hope for things to be so much better, right? If they're not good where we're at, we want them to get a lot better, but hoping usually is just not enough. We have to have a plan. And so the theme that I've had for this week has been, planning for success. So I've talked about it in my clubhouse rooms, I've talked about it on LinkedIn, in my masterminds, and now I'm here on Facebook. It's been a while since I have been here, even though I am live streaming on other platforms in addition to Facebook. But I haven't forgot about you, Facebook. It's just life is busy. We've got Clubhouse, and then just this week I learned about another platform called Clapper. So if you guys have heard about Clapper, put it in the chat because I'm looking for as much insight as I can get on how to handle that. For me, it kind of reminds me of TikTok. So I have a TikTok. I'm not real active on it. I try to get on there every once in a while because I will put a clip to this video in the comments. So, look, I'm going to try to write this down because I get on the roll, y'all. I get on here and get to talking, and ideas just get away from me. I read the comments and then I'm off to something else. But I was going to say, I'm going to put a clip of an interview that I did before TikTok got real popular. I was hooked on it. And I was telling the person who was interviewing me, I was like, it's great. They've got recipes on it, they've got people doing public speaking. I mean, I was just like the ambassador for TikTok before it really got popular. My kids weren't really even on it. They would always say, Mom, can you get off of that? So I would set a timer. But the thing about it is, I was on it before it got real popular. And I had to really monitor how I used it because time would get away from me. And so I got off TikTok. I started doing more other things. Pandemic came. And so I just had to put it down. And so now that I'm going back, it's like going back in measure, making sure that I'm posting on there for a few minutes and getting off. And it's like that with any other platform. You can get lost on Facebook, Instagram. And then I think the more that you remove yourself from it, and when you come back, you're on it even more because it's like, oh my gosh, what did I miss? Oh, I can't believe they're doing this, or their profile, they changed the heading or whatever. And so you can get lost. So anyway, I'm going to say clip of TikTok. So not sure how long I'm going to be on here. I'm a talker. So if you got something else to do, you can always come back and check what I said later. But I'm just in this chill mode. It's like the end of this quarter. The kids are on spring break. I made it through another week, so I'm excited. And so during this time of reflection, I like to think about what are some things that I accomplished? What was working for me? What do I need to change? And how can I get to where I want to get to faster? How can I be more efficient with my time? So let's say, for example, that you want to do a certain number of podcast interviews. Okay. And so you're on that right track. You've been doing some interviews, but as you sit back and you reflect, how many did you do? You know, um, what can you do better? How can you improve or be on even more this quarter? So, like, let's say you have a goal of maybe 12 podcasts a year. So, you figure each quarter you're going to do 3 or 4, right, in order to accomplish that goal. So, then if you have done two, maybe you had a lot of momentum and you're like, wow, I really like this. And so instead of doing 4 for this next quarter, I do really want to do more than 4. I want to try to double that because I feel like, once I get in the zone, I just want to keep on doing it. And so if you want to increase those numbers, what does that look like? Where are you going to calculate that time to do it on your calendar? Are you going to set up certain days that you designate for podcasts, whether it's yours or someone else's? See, this is where the planning goes into effect because we can say that we want to do things, but are we making time and resources and provision for those things? Because if you want to do more podcasts, that's going to take more time out of your schedule. And what does that look like? Do you have the autonomy to be able to do that? Or are you going to have to um, forego some of your recreation time in order to allow for more podcasts? Are you going to do that on the weekends instead of during the week? So things like this, it is not a linear situation when we think about planning. It is all about figuring out how is this puzzle piece going to affect another one. It's making sure that everything fits together. So, hey, Damon, and hey, Aaron. So glad that y'all were able to join. I'm going to connect you guys. And that's one of the things that I do when I'm live, because I want everybody to be in the conversation. I love for us all to get together. So anybody who knows me, whenever I go live, whoever's on the platform as a guest, whether you're commenting or whatever, I connect you so you can build your network. That's what it's all about. We're all here watching live anyway, so why not introduce each other? So I look at a live, it's just like we're all in the same room. I'm just the one that's running my mouth and not giving y'all a word in edgewise. So that's how I look at it. All right. So we're talking about planning. And so I'm going to give you an acronym for plan because this is how I think. I got a million things going on in the background. Okay. Oh, Melanie and Damon, they connected. See? And they're both on the call. So she said her Q1 is done. So this is good. And she has this green check. So I'm assuming that everything went as planned and probably even better. So put in the comments, guys, what are some things that you're working on? And there's something about magnetism, right? We talk about people being magnetic, charismatic, all these different things. And it's about synchronicity and synergy. So I'm going to give you this example I think is very appropriate right now. So Melanie had a goal. And now she asked me about something. I connected her to Damon. They met. And so she's working on her goal, right? But I'm just going to tell you about planning, right? So my theme for this week is planning. So I start off on Sundays on Clubhouse and I do a room for the week and I talk about the theme of the week. So I did that on Monday. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other day after that, whatever platform I'm on, is when I will talk about the same topic. So Wednesday, I did my mastermind on Zoom. And then after that, I have a business room on LinkedIn that I'm just starting because business rooms now can do link audio rooms. So I was doing it on planning. Now I'm doing the room on planning and I had a guest who is CPR certified. His name is Alex. Aaron, I think you know Alex. Y'all were on a panel together. But anyway, he does a lot with planning. And so I had just got done doing this mastermind. And when you do a presentation, it takes a lot out of you. So I could have done another one on planning, but it just so worked out that he was there. So I just asked him some questions and he just led the whole room. Well, during the time that I was doing this room, another connection reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you have a few minutes to chat?" And I said, "Well, I'm in a room right now." So I sent her a link to join the broadcast on LinkedIn because she was reaching out to me on Facebook. She joined joined the room that we were in, and we're talking about planning. And so you get up on the stage and we're talking. So I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Patty's here. So I want to thank you, Patty, for joining." I said, "We were communicating in the back channel on a different platform, but she's here. So please join us." I said, "Patty, we're talking about planning today, how to plan for success." And so she said, "I cannot believe that this is the topic." She said, "I was reaching out to you because I just completed my book on planning and I wanted you to give me an endorsement on planning." The name of the book is something like Design Your Destiny Planning. I mean, everything that we were talking about. So, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So, I went off on that tangent to tell you that story to say whatever you're working on for quarter 2, I don't care how crazy it may look like, right? Or sound like, just put it in the chat. You got to get it out there. I was in another room today, and so we were talking about Think and Grow Rich. And so one of the things that she was saying about our thoughts and how we want to grow and do different things is that the first thing that happens with a thought is that your limiting beliefs come up, and they're the most powerful at the time of you thinking about something new. So if I'm saying, "You know what, I want to go fly a helicopter," right? So immediately my limiting beliefs are going to come up, and they're the most strongest at that time. So what she says you have to do is do something, take some kind of action. So it might be, okay, let me go look up some helicopter classes, really quickly, immediately when I have that thought, to dispel the fear or the limiting beliefs. So you have to do it quickly. So I said, this makes so much sense because one of the things that I have done after my depression, okay, for those of you that may not know, I went through 13 years of depression. I was hospitalized 3 times. So after that hospitalization, I just do stuff quickly. Now, it's not like it's spontaneous, because I still am a planner. Okay, look, I'm over here with a bunch of notes, y'all, written all over the place. So I do plan, but things that are out of my character, kind of like something new, a new idea, something that requires me to get out of my comfort zone, I do it quickly. Because for me, if I don't, then I'll get into this analyze mode where it's like, okay, well, should I wait? Maybe if I do this, maybe it's going to cost this. I'll start going in this whole little conversation with myself. And so if you do it quickly, then you're in a space that you can keep the momentum going for whatever it is that you need it for, right? You need certain energy. So I was telling this to my kids last night. They were cutting up, believe it or not. And it ended up where one of my kids got their phone, the back of it shattered. So the front is fine, but the back of the phone, it's an iPhone. So they were horsing around and it ended up somebody got their phone messed up. But it involved 3 of my kids. So they have a hoverboard, riding it in the house. First of all, why are we doing that? But anyway, so they have a hoverboard. So it was my daughter, the youngest. She's riding the hoverboard. One of the kids was watching TV in the living room. So she's riding it back and forth in front of the TV. So needless to say, he's saying she provoked him. She was annoying him or whatever. So she gets off the hoverboard, gives it to her brother to get on, who is 14. So he goes on it and gets back and forth in front of the TV of the 16-year-old who's trying to watch TV. So he moves away out of the eyesight of the 16-year-old, but he's over close near him. So the 16-year-old gets up and says that he's going to provoke him, and he wants to act like he's going to do something, but he doesn't. So he ducks down. Long story short, it ended up where they bumped into each other and the phone fell out of the one uh, son's hand and it cracked on the back. So the illustration that I was telling them is that energy is contagious. So we're not talking about if something is right or wrong. We're just talking about energy. So the energy started where the 9-year-old was back and forth on the hoverboard with that energy because she's going back and forth annoying her brother. She gets off the hoverboard and the older brother goes in front doing the same thing. Then instead of the 16-year-old coming and getting some intervention to, deflect that energy, he does the same thing playing around and it ends up now he's out of whatever it's going to cost to get his brother's phone repaired, right? So my point is this is how energy travels. The thing about it is we need the energy. We just need to channel it in the right direction. So like I was trying to explain to him, you had all this energy around you. You could have changed the whole outcome of how that energy came into a different consequence if you had taken the time to pause and really think about your actions. So I say all that to say when we have intention, instead of having that fear get us going in a million different directions with no purpose, no clarity, take some time to pause and think about what is the next best thing I can do. So if I want to fly helicopters, the next best thing that's logical would be for me to sign up for a helicopter class, right? And just do it. And once you say, oh, I'm in a helicopter class, you tell other people they resonate with that because they know I don't know how to fly a helicopter. So they're saying, yeah, if you want to do that, you better make sure you get some training first. But do you see how that kind of elevates it? They think it's possible because I'm taking lessons, right? So that's just that example. But think about it in your own life with your second quarter that you're planning. What are some things that you could do quickly to attach yourself to that goal that makes sense? And people can then connect their energy with yours and they'll say, hey, yeah, if you're signing up for helicopter classes and you've got 15 kids, then I can go skydiving or whatever. I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example. All right, so let's get to the acronym. So the acronym is PLAN. So the first letter is process. So when you think about a plan, what is going to be your method? So for example, we're talking about the helicopter classes. That's the thing. I find somebody to give me classes. Then I figure out where that's going to be. They give me the whole process on how I start with the helicopter on the ground and then get it in the sky, fly around and come back, right? So that's a process to it. The next thing is leverage. Now, leverage is good because there are going to be things that we plan that we have no knowledge of. And we're going to have to get training. We're going to have to build our confidence with. We just are starting off like little kids, right? And so sometimes what we forget about is we stop doing things because we may be pros in one area, but we're amateurs in another. And instead of leveraging where we're a pro at with that amateur stance, we quit, right? We just give up. So when you think about leverage, think about how can you attach something you're skilled at to make this more real. The best thing that I could say is collaboration, right? So if I say, I'm going to go ahead and take these helicopter classes, I can leverage the fact that I am a community builder and get some other people on board that maybe they want to take helicopter classes too. So what starts off, my husband's like, helicopter classes, how much is that? Right? Because that's the first thing people ask. So if I leverage being a community builder, then I could say, hey, to the instructor, if I bring 6 people, what kind of deal are you going to give me? Or how many people do I need to bring you so that I can fly for free or whatever, right? So you can leverage where you have more people attached to that goal, and you're going to be more successful usually at accomplishing it because it's not just all on you, right? You got this accountability locked into other people that are agreeing with that goal. So hopefully that makes sense. And if y'all have any questions, just put it in the chat. All right. So the next thing is action. So we got to take action. Now, when you first started driving, many of us didn't know what the heck we were doing. You know how you stop and you're jerking everybody, right? So we start off not knowing what we're doing, but it's not until we take action that we get better because we have to practice in order to improve, right? So you can't just look at somebody driving and talk about somebody driving in order for you to learn how to drive. You have to get behind the wheel. You have to see what it feels like to put your foot on the accelerator, what it feels like to brake, what it feels like to switch gears if you're learning with the stick shift, right? So you got to get to the point to where you are getting some action, right? And that action continues to build even more momentum. And then the last letter is N, and that's no excuses, right? So when you plan something, it's important to be committed to the plan because if you're not, the first sign of resistance, you're going to be quitting, right? So if I'm like, oh, I want to really learn how to uh, ride this helicopter, but it starts raining. Oh, it's raining. I don't think I'm going to go today. You know what I mean? Let me wait till the weather clears up and then I'll go, you know. Oh, it's cold outside. That might affect how I'm flying. So I don't think I'm going to go today. I'm going to wait, right? You'll come up with anything will turn into something that seems logical to stop you from your goal if you let it. So you have to have a mindset of no excuses. How are you going to commit? And it is through a schedule, setting that up so that you can keep on doing it daily. Now, and that's what I recommend is that we do things daily because if we do them sporadically and then miss some time with it being sporadic, it's going to make it even harder to start. So if you are somebody who works out and you're working out every day, you're probably going to miss a day here or there, but for the most part, you're going to be consistent, right? Because it's just so ingrained in your daily routine that it feels odd if you don't do it. You notice quickly the problem or the change in your body when you don't do it. And so this is why you stick to it. But if you do it like once a week, and then you miss a week, you're out of town or something comes up on that day, or maybe it's a tornado or something and the gym is closed. It's a lot harder to get back into the swing of things if you're not doing it on a regular basis, right? Because you haven't built that muscle, so to speak, or that routine that is so much a part of you that you feel something missing when you don't do it. So when you think about your planning, whatever that is, one of the ways that we can do this to where we think about our plan every day, even though some parts of the plan we don't do every day, is to have a vision board or have some kind of visual that we look at every day to remind us what our goals are, right? Because visualization is so much more powerful a lot of times than words. Okay, so Damon says he wrote a children's book that I want to publish, and I've stalled because I don't know what the next steps are. Got a publisher, okay? Actually, I have a couple of them that I'll introduce you to, and that settles that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people, and I don't know if you knew, Damon, but this last week I just was named international best-selling author because I was a part of a book collaboration We launched the book on the 23rd and we're international bestsellers. So I have a couple of people that I can introduce you to. So this is great. And children's books are so good because those principles are things that we as adults need to learn. Okay. Just saying. We have so many things that we grow up to mature for that we don't realize, but it shows up in our behavior and our thoughts, right? So I tell my kids all the time, yeah, you can skip second grade to fifth grade, but you're going to be missing something, right? The building blocks of math and fractions or certain things. I'm just using that as an example. When you get over here and they're asking you how to do geometry, if you haven't had that foundation, you're going to be lost, right? And you're not going to be able to build anything on that because you have to go back and relearn what you didn't learn. But what happens with us with our emotional situation is that we skip ahead all the time emotionally. You know, we're little kids in big bodies and people look at us, "Oh, you know it all, right? You've got 15 kids." And I'm like, "Look, I was an only child. I don't know any dynamic about sisters and brothers in the house. You know, all this stuff is new to me. I'm learning every day." So, you never know, but we just assume because of people being where they are that they know what they need to know to get there. Sometimes you just get promoted, right? Um I am now one of my mom's confidants because my dad passed away. You know, there's nobody there with her, so she tells me more things about her life than she probably did in the past because she doesn't have that companion anymore, right? So I didn't sign up for that, right? I wasn't planning on it. But now I have been promoted to that position. So, you know, we have to make sure that we do the work so that as people rely on us for things, one, that we're transparent, say, hey, I don't know anything about technology. I'm just using that as an example. So I am not trying to be the tech, you know, guru here, right? So we can figure this out together and find out what we both don't know about technology. Or we can call somebody. So just case in point, I'm not going to say, "Oh, Damon, you know, that's a great idea, a children's book, and then let's try to put this together." That's not me. I have learned to save myself so much anxiety by connecting people that are good for whatever people need them for, right? I feel like I don't have to hoard anything. The more I give, the more stuff comes back to me that is right for me, right? So someone comes to give me an endorsement. She's so excited. It's actually going to be on the back of her book. Now, that's the first time somebody ever asked me for an endorsement. And so I'm over here on cloud nine just about that. And she's like, if anybody could give me an endorsement about planning, definitely a woman who has 15 children. So she's over the moon about the endorsement. And I'm over the moon about, wow, this is my first time with my name on the back of somebody's books. I read so many books and see that for other people, but now it's my name, right? So if I'm over here trying to do Damon's children's book and publishing it, I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to be looking up stuff on the internet, trying to figure stuff out for hours, staying up late, not getting any sleep, rather than passing that on to a publisher and leaving space for people to give me stuff that matches me. So hopefully that makes sense for y'all. Hey, Mary. Yeah, I am on YouTube and I'm on LinkedIn. Hey, Patty, look, Patty is on. This is the person that asked me to do the endorsement. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all about synchronicity, right? And I'm talking about magnetism and what you attract. So this is important for you to put out there. And Patty just published her book last night. She put it online. So Damon is wanting to publish a book. He's on a call with somebody who just did it last night. Now, I can't plan this, right? You see my hands. I've been over here waving them around. So I didn't call Patty or anything like that. So this is amazing. All right. So one of the things that I want to say about a plan, And I'm going to try to wrap it up, y'all, because I just am in this zone. I can talk all day. And I know you're like, what else is she going to say? But anyway, one of the things about planning is it helps you to know what your resources are, right? So, for example, we're going to use Damon with him publishing his children's book. We could spend all of our energy and motivation being stressed out about not knowing who to publish it with, or we can use that energy to get on the phone, connect with people that are in our network and say, hey, I've got a project, I need a publisher, right? So it's the same energy, but it has different results. Because if you get with your network, right, he's on here, there's like 5 people that I am going to be introducing him to, right? And he's feeling better, right? Whereas if he was not on the call, if he was just like, beating himself up, interacting with his family, but still in the back of his mind, I got this book. I mean, when am I going to get it done? I don't even want to tell people because they're going to be like, I thought you were doing a book and all this other stuff. We had these conversations with ourselves. I know I've been there, done that. But the point is, that's going to deplete his energy and he's not even going to be motivated to do some of the normal things because he's beating himself up with his own mindful chatter, right? So once we learn that, okay, it takes a plan, it's not about us, it's about who can we connect to, that synergy that's going to give us even more energy that's going to propel us forward with our goals, right? So that's the first thing is know your resources. The next thing is a difference between resting and quitting. This is key because if you're resting, I'm in resting mode. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even want to think about another meeting or nothing, right? And so that's different than quitting, right? But if you plan, you can plan for times that you rest, right? Let's just think about a school year for kids. They plan spring break, they plan Thanksgiving break, they plan Christmas break, they plan summer break, right? So that gives them momentum because they know that at the end of this quarter or during this specific time, they're going to have a break. So they can work because they know that that break is coming. But if we just continue to work ourselves without any of that time planned in, we're going to end up doing more harm than good because we're going to get burnt out. It's just like somebody who works out, you end up getting injured. Then you can't work out even if you wanted to. Then you have to rest. Then you got to go back, retrain yourself with another schedule on how you're going to start working out again. Right? She says, send him to me if he wants to get his plan together. I know that's right. You see what I'm saying? But this is good. So, moving on. One thing, again, with the plan is that it helps you to duplicate and to delegate. So you've written the book, Damon. So the only thing you're doing is delegating the publishing. So the publishing is loading it however you want it done, like if you want it on Amazon or some other platform, but they do all that, you know. Maybe you pick out a cover or, co-collaborate with that cover or whatever the case is. But they get an illustrator. They do all the book stuff that you don't have to worry about. You can have freedom to go write you another book. Maybe it's a series, right? So when we learn to delegate and let go of the things that we don't know, the things that are out of our comfort zone, it allows us to rechannel that energy for something else that we mastered, right? So that's something else that you can do. Then duplicating. So one of the things about having a plan, and Patty is good with her book. So Patty, if you want to put your link out here for the book that you have, I don't know if it has a link yet. Or, we're going to connect them with you so she can let you know about her launch, because everything has a process, y'all, so, but when you think about your plan, you make a checklist, right? And so when you make a checklist about everything that goes into whatever process it is for you, you know where your stopping and starting points are. So if I have I used this illustration the other day about laundry, right? So people say, "Oh, I'm going to put laundry on the list." Well, laundry has a lot of components to it. First you have to gather the clothes, then you have to sort them, then you have to put those that put them in the wash, then they have to dry, then you have to fold them, then you have to put them away, right? So that's like 4 or 5 different steps. Well, if you break that down, if someone comes along and you're doing another task, you could say, "Hey, I need you just to go gather the clothes. The laundry baskets are here. Go get all the clothes out of everybody's room and put them in these baskets." You see how easy it is to delegate? But when everything is in your head and you don't have it written down, you don't know what to tell somebody first. So if I am in the middle of meal prep and I already know what I'm cooking and I already have it all laid out, in some kind of organized fashion, if any of my kids, which is few and far between, want to offer to help me cook, then I could say, "Sure, I need you to go brown the ground beef. We're having tacos. So brown the ground beef and I'll get the, refried beans, or I'll make the rice or something like that." You see what I'm saying? So this is why planning is good, because it helps you to duplicate, because you don't have to be the one doing it, but you also can be doing something else. So instead of me making one dish, I've got two of them in the making at the same time, because somebody's doing one and I'm doing another. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there, because I could be on here all day, y'all. There's so much more that we could say, but I'm going to stop there. So the acronym was PLAN, and it's process, leverage, action, no excuses. Now, one thing I do want to conclude with is, for many of us, as we go into quarter 2, we want to go and level up, right? We can maintain where we're at, but leveling up is so important. And leveling up a lot of times calls on help. You need help. So this happened this morning. I'm a part of a chat of a group of people. We support each other on LinkedIn. And someone made a post about they're not getting tagged or mentioned. So, like, when somebody mentions or tags them on LinkedIn, they never see it. And so I said, "Yeah, that's been happening to me too." So what I have people do is send me the a message about what they post, so that I can be sure that I see it. But the point that I'm making with that is that it's growing pains. LinkedIn is doing audio. They've got podcasting now, which is beta. So not a lot of us have access to it, but they've got live video. They've got a lot of these different features that are going on, and they're dropping the ball, I believe, in some places. And this is a part of the growing pains. But I say that to say this can be something that we can observe and we can learn from. So, yes, it may seem easy that, "Oh, I want to go from 6 figures to 7 figures." And we think that we can do it ourselves without having a team, without having a coach, without having more staff, right? Because you want to make sure that as you grow, that the things that you're already doing don't slip through the cracks, right? So tagging and mentioning on LinkedIn was going great, but now that they're building and doing other things, that's starting to slip through the cracks. So when you think about your brand, you think about your business, you want to think about, how is it that I can invest now so that I can be happier as I grow, right? And so, one of the things that I would say about a coach, so for example, we get coaches, we get trainers, we get consultants, because they can guarantee us results, right? So, if I know that I wanted to lose 20 pounds, and the first thing I would do would be like, "Okay, which trainer should I have?" Why would I get a trainer? Because that person is going to hold me accountable, and I'm going to invest in them for doing so, because they're going to find a way to make my weight loss goal a priority. The first way that they're going to do that is that they're going to charge me. So when I'm paying for that, then I'm going to take it a little bit more seriously. And then the second thing is, it's a collaborative contract, because I'm investing in them, which is really investing in me. And so, because I pay them for their expertise, then they are going to give me the expertise that I need to help me be successful in accomplishing that goal. So, when you think about a coach is really in this place to where they are speaking from experience a lot of times, and they can guarantee the results because they've been a case study, or they have testimonials of case studies that they had in the past. And so this is why when you think about a coach, they've already experienced the things that you're going to go through. So for example, if I just wanted to open up a business and say, you know what, I'm going to be a mom coach. Okay. I'm going to be a mom coach. I don't have a lot of schooling in that, but I got a lot of experience. I might not have the certifications that a coach is supposed to have, but I've got 15 kids. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, everything I might not have experienced, but I feel pretty confident that I can create a coaching program for moms that can talk about some of the highlights of parenting, whether it's, girls getting their cycle for the first time, or, going through puberty, how to potty train, right? How to nurse, right? All these different things, how to introduce your kids to solid foods, all these things, right? So, when you think about the coaches, these are the things that you think about. How do I find a good coach? Asking them these questions, right? And not being afraid to ask them, because this is how you're going to get the results that you want. I don't want to have a coach if I'm looking for a mom coach with someone who hasn't been a mom before, right? Or doesn't have any experience with that. So if I want a babysitter, I want to get somebody who's been around babies before, has some kind of experience, right? So these are the questions that we need to ask people, instead of just looking at their credentials and thinking, oh my gosh, whatever people are going to post what is going to have them looking good, right? Now, why would I put a post up of something crazy, right? So just like we are going to do the same thing, so are other people. But it's up to us to do our due diligence and ask the right questions so we can determine if this person's a fit for us or not, or if they really have experience about what they say that they are doing. All right. So Patty is putting her digital business card. You guys feel free, if you guys think that I might forget to connect y'all, you can put your information here in the chat. That's really what I'm about, right? It's so funny. So I go to these events and I'm engaged right while I'm at the event, but I have a script. And so whatever the topic is, so let's say we're on a Zoom call right now. This is everybody's boxes is here. So I will create a script. Oh my gosh, I'm just loving this presentation on planning. And I'll maybe make a fun fact, or a quote. I love that quote about, if you don't plan, you plan to fail, or something, right? So I'll put that in the script so it sounds like it's right now. Some of these things I may do before I get to the Zoom. So then I'll create that script and say, what is your takeaway? So most people will put it in the chat for everybody, but people don't like that, right? Nobody, it's like crickets. So what I do is I send that message to everybody directly who's in the Zoom. So what happens? People think, oh my gosh, I got a message, right? They're excited about the message in the Zoom, and they don't think anybody else has got the message, but I'm sending it to everybody. So that's one way that you can think about maximizing your time. And it's stuff that I normally would say, right? A lot of people are really kind of leery about automation, AI, and all this other stuff. But I've been doing AI with myself being AI for I don't know how long, because you just can't do it all in real time. But I do that because we can miss opportunities to connect with people when they're right in the room. right? So if I didn't say about Damon putting something in there, we would have missed the opportunity for him to get even more inspiration by the story that I shared and the person that I was talking about coming in the room at the same time. It would have not had any impact. He would have just thought Patty was anybody. But the fact that I shared the story, she came in the room. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's just that energy. So put your information in the contact in the chat. Now, do you guys have any questions? I do kind of like doing lives because I can read what people are saying a little bit better and not get distracted. Um, so Patty says that her book is going to be hitting in 72 hours. And I think, okay, everybody else is just making comments and stuff. So this is good. But if y'all have any questions, you know where to find me. You can just DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, this is the last thing that I'm gonna say. So, if you have, like, when you think about planning, and maybe planning you associate to an old job, right? So you have this job and you kind of dreaded going there. And when you use certain words, it just kind of has this feeling that you just don't like. And so you kind of uh, repel. The word repels you from it. So take the time to look up words and get synonyms. So one of the things that I do, because, for me, a lot of my past was wrapped into academia. And that was all about, being the best, competing for the top, um, not asking for help, looking strong, all this other stuff. And so, assuming you know what stuff means by context and, whatever. So, one of the things that I do now is I look up words because really everything is neutral. But what happens is it's what we attach to the word that has an impact. So the meaning behind the word. So if I say scarcity, that might not impact certain people. But for some people, that could be something that just paralyzes them because it sends an image of something that traumatic that they might have experienced. So I'm just using that as an example. So if we think planning, if you had certain jobs and that word brings a visual of a job that you had that you didn't like, then go through synonyms and find a new word. So like for plan, it could be design, which is what Patty has as a part of her book, shape, sketch, aim, strategy, map out, frame, or blueprint. So thinking about maybe it's a different word because you're evolving that really fits you better for what you see that this is doing for you. And so I just wanted to share that because I do that a lot. I had this situation where, I was a business student at Indiana University. So it was very competitive. And so we had a lot of the normal terminology. Well, I woke up one morning and I thought, oh, I just don't like the word deadline. I don't know why this came up, but it was just heavy on me the first thing I got up in the morning. And I thought, why am I even thinking about this? But that's a word that I would use a lot, corporate, meetings and just talking to people with coaching. And it just didn't settle with me. So I looked up the word deadline, and it is a word from back in the day when prisoners were locked up, and it was a line that if they crossed that line, they were killed. So they called it a deadline. So I'm like, why am I using this word? So now I'm very particular about timelines. I say that, or, what's your objective? What date do you want to get there? I use different words because it sends negative energy, right? It just doesn't have the right kind of energy for me. Now, that's just my example. Same thing like failure, right? So I look at life as an experiment. So many of us, when we were in high school, we had to have a science fair project or something, or we dabbled in chemistry where we had to have a logbook. So you would put different variables in there and then you would log your results. And so for me, I look at life as an experiment where I'm just logging different results. I'm going to see, oh, if I do it this way, what's going to happen? If I do it this way. So I don't really think about things being failure because I think you're always going to learn something from it. But it's your choice on what you want to do and how you're going to capture that. Are you going to remember it? Are you going to write it down? Or is it going to be something that you're going to keep repeating, like insanity, which was my case many times, because you didn't write it down and you didn't really document what that lesson taught you, right? I mean, I think if I had had that mindset, not just about chemistry class, but I was thinking about that in my own life from the time I was a teenager, I probably would have had less bumps and bruises in my physical, mental, and emotional life because I would have taken note of the things that I was learning along the way rather than getting caught up in the emotions and, forgetting the lesson. So, just wanted to add that. So, I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Final message is that on April 29th, I'm going to be headed to Virginia for a pancreatic cancer walk. It's the second year for this walk. I'm there with my co founder of a club in the Elephant Strategy Club on Clubhouse. And she's a pancreatic cancer survivor. She's 4 years cancer free. And so this walk is to raise money for PanCan organization. We're trying to raise 7,000. So any donations, I would love for y'all to participate if you can, or if you want to walk. So we can have satellite walkers, or you can join us in Richmond on Saturday, April 29th. But you can be a walker where you can just walk around your neighborhood and you can put it on Instagram and tag us or Facebook or whatever. And so you could just say, hey, I'm walking for PanCan and, tag us or whatever, because we just want to get a lot of momentum because those walks are actually going to be all over the United States. I think it's 60 walks that are going to be going on at the same time to raise money for pancreatic cancer. So I want to thank all of you guys for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Remember that quarter 1 is over, and think about how you can reflect on those lessons, what you've learned, and how those lessons can give you more momentum to have a more successful quarter 2. And if you need some help, give me a call. But everybody have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.